When we see a pirate with an eye patch, we usually assume the same thing. It's a medical bandage for a missing eye, the result of a sword fight or a cannon blast. But during the golden age of piracy, from the 1650s to the 1730s, first-hand records of individual pirates are actually rare. This title page is from a 1724 book called A General History of the Pirates. Much of what we think we know about how pirates looked comes from early accounts like this, which were heavily embellished by writers and filmmakers over the next 300 years. Since our image of the pirate is built so heavily on fiction, we have to look closer at the actual utility of their most famous accessory. Some pirates certainly lost eyes in battle, but the sheer number of eye patches in pirate lore overstates the likely rate of permanent injury. Sailing a complex 18th-century ship required a high level of physical coordination. If nearly every sailor wearing a patch was genuinely disabled, the crew would struggle to manage the rigging and navigation required to stay afloat. If most of these patches weren't covering empty eye sockets, they likely served a practical function that provided the wearer with a physical advantage. Life on a pirate ship meant moving between extremes. On the upper deck, you dealt with direct sunlight and intense glare reflecting off the water. Below that deck, the interior was a series of windowless wooden rooms, kept almost entirely in the dark. A typical shift required moving back and forth between these two environments constantly, chasing ropes on the deck, then descending into the hold to manage cargo or ammunition. Those dark lower decks were where ships stored their navigation tools, weapons, and highly explosive gunpowder. Descending into a room full of gunpowder while your eyes adjusted was more than an inconvenience. If you were blind for several minutes while trying to grab supplies, you became a liability to the entire ship. This delay is caused by a process called dark adaptation. When moving from sun to shadow, your pupils dilate and low-light photoreceptors activate. The problem is this transition takes 20 to 30 minutes to complete. Until it finishes, you are functionally blind in low light. By wearing a patch on deck, a pirate kept one eye in a permanent state of dark adaptation. When they descended below deck into the darkness, they simply flipped the patch to the other side. The previously covered eye was already prepared for the dark, allowing the pirate to see clearly the moment they entered the hold. They were using a simple tool to bypass a physiological limitation, maintaining visual readiness in two different environments at the same time. Written records from the 1700s that explicitly describe this technique are rare. However, the biological science is well documented, and the light conditions aboard these ships are a physical reality. Modern military special operators and pilots are trained in similar techniques today, using one eye for instruments and keeping the other adapted to the darkness outside. The patch also provided a second benefit. During a battle, it protected the eye from the sparks and flying wood splinters common when cannons were fired in close quarters. The truth is likely a combination of battle injuries and deliberate tactics. These sailors were practical engineers who used a piece of leather to overcome a biological delay, ensuring they were never blind when it mattered most.